Bravo has had such a big showing. Lots of them show up. Not many cross over to the top 8 slot, let alone make it to the semifinals or even to the big one. But here is Michael Hamilton taking the big boy, the showstopper, to task here. And in this case, very fascinating choice of taking Titan's Fist with the Steel Blade Buckler, because at a certain point, you know Levia is going to be ultra aggressive. Sometimes you just need those extra 3 points of life. The hammer indicates that aggression might not be the game plan here. The game plan might just be chip, 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 and withstand that at a certain point, it's either blood debt or decking them out. So I'm thinking that this might be a fatigue plan. It might be a longer game. But at the same time, Levia kind of just goes ahead and decks herself out towards the late game. So doing herself no favors in that regard. But again, if anybody is going to get there, it's going to be Ethan Van Sant with his big brain knit cap on.
Absolutely. I mean, Ethan is no stranger to taking brutes into metas that feature guardian heroes and utilizing the ability of these brutes to just kind of dismantle them. Even at the Pro Tour in Baltimore, he was very close to the top 8 of that event with Rhinar because of how Oldhim dominated that meta was. And of course, Bravo, not the same hero, but a lot of the, some of the similarities between them might allow for Ethan to take what he knows about this matchup at kind of like a core level and parlay that into victory here against one of the world champs of this game.
In hand, I believe there is a Blood Rush Bellow. There is also a Art of War. We're going to go ahead and pitch and just throw some claws out there for 3. I think this is a situation where those are 2 great cards to combine together if you want to do so. But at the same time, holding on to something like Art of War in order to just satisfy blood debt, just easy peasy that way is one way to do it. So he looks like he's just going to go ahead and pocket the Art of War. The Blood Rush Bellow remains in hand. And at the same time, by pocketing the Blood Rush Bellow, the Art of War there, it does help you when you have to randomly discard. You're putting a non-6, a high-value non-6 card away from the danger of getting rid of it. But big play here by Michael Hamilton.
This looks like to be a Starstruck, not dominated. We can see that there are a couple of blue cards and the 1 red pummel in the pitch. So Michael not only sending a big old 10 spot with a very relevant crush effect, but also getting that pummel to the bottom of the deck for the second cycle of this game. Good news here for the Levia deck. You're playing a lot of big attacks. So the crush effect of the Starstruck might be challenging to navigate if you're trying to do the Blood Rush Bellows into the Claws play because of how, if you only block with, a couple cards here or a card, so to speak. But you want to make sure that you're able to still send some big ones, and the Levia deck is able to do so.
Yeah, I mean, in this case, it's still a fat 10, right? And you're foregoing potentially an Arsenal play here. But again, you don't have an Anathos to send for 6 if you just want to keep the pummel in Arsenal or something along those lines. Playing for second cycle in that pummel can be significant, especially in a position where it's either, blood debt might kill you, but, peeling cards out of your hand is also another way for you to sort of mess up your guaranteed banishment of a 6 later on. But 10 is just 10 damage. I mean, Starstruck and Crush effects, sure. At the end of the day, dude, it is still 10 spot, like you mentioned. It's 10 fat damage that you've got to be accountable for here. Ethan has another Art of War in hand, a Blood Rush Bellows. So there's some cards that are they're either no block or high value to just maintain. This could be a situation where Ethan might give up some equipment, we're going to see, but ultimately, even a non-dominated Starstruck is giving him some headaches.
Absolutely. It looks like he's going to put a Convulsions from the Bellows in Hell in front of it, and looked like he's going to get ready to take 7 here. That means that Crush effect is absolutely online. So Starstruck means for the rest of Ethan's next turn, he is not able to play or activate attacks that do not have 7 or more power.
Yeah, there it is. There's the 7 indicating that the Crush effect kind of gooning you a little bit here. And yes, Levia has access to some pretty hefty attacks, but it does look at the base attack. So Blood Rush Bellow is not going to circumvent any of the Crush abilities of the Starstruck. But at the same time, looking at Ethan's hand, what do we see? He's just kind of thinking about it. He might actually be going for an Art of War turn.
I think he just passed. I think he just passed. Michael Hamilton's Tunic is up to 2. He's drawn cards. I mean, I think he might have just had a pretty bricky experience there. He's got the Blood Rush Bellow. He might have another Art of War. I think he might have even had another Tear Limb from Limb, so no way to draw off the Art of War. No attack actions. We're going to have to see if Ethan is able to navigate. This is a matchup he likes to see, but not when he draws cards in this order, in this sequence. And Light and Strike may maybe coming out for Michael Hamilton. We're going to go ahead and yeet that on back to the hand. No, let's yeet it back on out into the battlefield. Time for the Enlightened Strike. Most likely going to be go again here. 5 power.
Yeah, well, I mean, the E-Strike's making their way back into Bravo decks because they have sort of, with Lexi out of the picture, they can be a little bit more on the aggressive side. So putting in E-Strikes to just have go against, to draw cards, to do whatever you need to do is a good feeling, throwing a sink below in front of this. I think Ethan taking all that damage is like, I have a really good hand. I don't mind taking the damage if I could send back this masterful hand later on. As you see, there's 2 Art of Wars, there's a Blood Rush Bellow, so we might see a big clapback afterwards, but oh my goodness, that is a Warmonger's Diplomacy. So what does that do? Well, that says, hey, you can either hit me or you can do some razzle-dazzle, but you can't do both because now the Blood Rush Bellow is likely offline again. So Michael Hamilton throwing more wrenches in the system.
100%. Ethan here having to navigate a very different style of game plan than perhaps he was expecting. Not a lot of necessarily big dominated attacks, but due to the effect of cards like Warmonger's Diplomacy and his own, challenging draw sequences here, looks as though he's going to have some trouble navigating the beginning of this game to be as effective as possible. So it's time for an Art of War under a Warmonger's turn. Looks like he's going to go ahead and banish to draw, or just maybe, I'm not sure what he triggered on the Art of War there, because it looks like this is just going to be this big old Boneyard Marauder, maybe just +1.
He might just be filtering the hand here.
Yeah.
It might just be a situation of, all right, well, +1 go again. I don't even want to draw cards at this rate because I want to, who knows what the situation is here. I mean, it seems like maybe Ethan is just not drawing exactly what he wants. As you can see, he's just kind of looking there. He wanted stuff in the graveyard. He wanted to banish as well, but 7 damage is what the story is here. You couldn't do a whole lot because of the Warmonger's Diplomacy, but ultimately, now we're just facing down 7. Again, Michael Hamilton has done a good job of throwing various different disruption effects towards Ethan.
And the question is, how much damage does Michael Hamilton here want to take? This is potentially going to be the end of the turn, depending on what card is left in hand. Yeah, probably just +1 and go again on this attack. Unfortunately, Boneyard Marauder going to get those cards out of the graveyard as an additional cost to play. Levia does need to have certain cards in the graveyard, or a certain amount of cards in the graveyard to play some of her attacks. So look, this would be interesting, though, if the Civic Steps are given here and the Quicken token is created and Ethan does just pass setting that Blood Rush Bellow in the arsenal. He can use that go again quite nicely on his next turn.
Very nicely. Civic Steps can be a very dangerous endeavor, Sam, because it needs to be very well timed. And he's going to give it up here to create the Quicken token. And like you said, Sam, this could just be a free pass for a big attack. And maybe Ethan doesn't even need to utilize a Dread Screamer or something. He could just send something big, fat, and sassy the old-fashioned way and get the Quicken out of it.
Yeah, now that's just going to most likely be the end of the turn here. Ethan's going to set that Blood Rush Bellows in the arsenal, and that Quicken token might be very relevant in the next couple turns here. Those Civic Steps, you can see Michael Hamilton's reasoning, right? He already had the go again on the turn, had a card in hand and a pitch floating, so could have definitely done something more on the turn if he so chose, but that Warmonger's Diplomacy, perhaps saying something about the turn there for Ethan. He's just happy to have that Quicken token, happy to keep it for his next couple turns.
Ethan Van Sant has been holding onto a Blood Rush Bellows since the first turn of the game, and Michael Hamilton has been very good at actually just stopping the freewheeling deal here. So the Warmonger's Diplomacy now, both players have chosen war. They've selected violence, and now I think there's a consideration here of you can't dominate it, but you can just send it. Now, the 2 floating here, with nothing in arsenal, there's no secret sauce coming with this, but a crippling crush once again. Ethan's like, dude, what do I need to do to just find a free pass to effectuate a strong turn?
Absolutely. I mean, you do need to put something in front of this unless you want to give the husk immediately, but you have to imagine that's going to set a different kind of a clock that Ethan wants to create for himself. 11 damage, no dominate, because the Warmonger's Diplomacy is a symmetrical effect. However, still a very relevant on-hit effect.
Husk is a very good option here, Sam. But my other the situation that I'm considering is that Husk might just be sort of an emergency button, like the parachute for when there's a dominated big boy. Ethan can play patiently here and just throw some cards in front of this and say, I'm just going to wait another turn. I'm going to wait another turn, because Husk is going to be your get-out-of-jail-free card for when that crippling crush comes in with a dominate effect on it. So we're going to see how Ethan approaches this, but I wouldn't be surprised if he just says, you know what, I'm just going to take another pass. pass. I'm going to throw some cards in front of this. I'm going to let you do your thing, and I'll maybe inherit the Quicken token into another turn. But it looks like he's actually given up the equipment here.
Wow, yeah, giving the Husk on a turn that you don't have to worry about dominate. We're going to have to see how that comes throughout the course of this game, because now that Carrion Husk, you've gotten that 6 points of block value, but we're going to have to count how many points of damage Ethan does take over the course of the game. You know, Levia is able to turn off the Blood Rush, or the Blood Debt through certain effects as well, but gonna have to see if that Carrion Husk would have come in handy later. But I think more importantly, let's see what this Blood Rush Bellow does on this turn. This is massive. You've given up the Husk for the Blood Rush Bellow. What does it get you if you're Ethan Van Sant?
Yeah, you paid a high price here, Sam. You gave up probably one of the best equipments in the game to go ahead and have this turn. So you really need to convert on this. If you're giving up 8 block from your equipment, it better mean that you're coming in hot and heavy as he goes ahead and with the Blood Rush Bellow ditching a card. He's going to draw 2, get the action points back, and go nuts here. So we're going to see what this means. Again, the Quicken token's still there, Sam, so it's not just going to be a claw situation. We're opening up with something heavy here.
Yeah, I mean, and I think if you're Ethan, I have to imagine you're not stoked to see the swing big on the random discard there, because with the Quicken token, that would have just been 10 with go again. One of your best hits on a Blood Rush Bellow's turn. We're just going to go ahead and play a second. Let's just go all gas, no brakes here. Let's see exactly how high this turn can go.
Well, all breaks you're talking about is Michael's face. That's where we're going. The Blood Rush Bellow meeting another Blood Rush Bellow. They're going to hold hands and sing Kumbaya as these attacks are going to be hypercharged. Beyond that, Sam, again, Quicken token, that is still looming large from the Civic Steps of a couple turns ago. How fat is this first attack going to be? Ethan has resources. Ethan has cards.
I think he might have drawn the third. I don't think you want to send the third Blood Rush Bellow, though.
But
I think it might have just popped into the hand there. The question is, the blue, again, just discarded for Ethan there. So he's now discarded the Swing Big and the Resource card on the turn. So we're just going to have to come in with the Mandible Claw, utilizing the Quicken on the Mandible Claw. You have to imagine that's not exactly how he wants to use that incredibly powerful effect, though. This is just going to be a Claw for 7.
It's a Claw for 7, and Michael Hamilton's happy to see that the Quicken token gets gobbled up by something that already had go again. When you're playing Civic Steps and you push it forward, your game plan here is to say you're going to use this you're going to burn this Quicken when you don't get value out of it. And in this case, Ethan just sending a Claw for 7. Typically, when you're doing the Blood Rush Bellow turns, you're opening with the claws and you're trying to feel out your opponent. How much does your opponent value their hand? How much are they willing to give up? And in this case, it looks like he's given up the whole kit and caboodle here. You're going to put down 2 cards, one of them creating that's not a Unity effect because I don't think it's another Guardian card, but look at that. Oh, no, it does. Never mind. So, yeah, the Seismic Surge created with the Starstruck blocking with another card, the other card being a Warmonger's Diplomacy, and the second wave of Civic Steps. So in this case, Sam, I think that Michael's anticipating the second Claw, which is correct. He read it perfectly. He said, hey, if you're burning the first Quicken on a Claw, my guess is you don't have a fat attack that you can pair up here. So the second Civic Steps also used to great value here.
Yeah, fascinating for Michael, honestly just for this game in general, that those Quicken tokens were just used on 2 Claws. You had to imagine on a Blood Rush Bellow's turn, Ethan was thinking about how he could utilize it on some of those big brute attacks, but maybe the fact that the Swing Big and the blue were the ones that discarded to the Blood Rush Bellow discard effect shaped the turn in such a way that it just made the most sense to go Claw into Claw like you often do on these Blood Rush turns. Sadly, though, those cards were going to have go again anyway. So it's just, yeah, this has been a weird start to the game for this Levia deck. I've never seen it kind of like have to navigate this early game.
Well, Bravo wants to disrupt. This new Bravo wants to be in your face. It wants to make you uncomfortable. Cards like Starstruck, cards like, obviously, the old school pummels, your crippling crushes. Michael's done an excellent job of making Ethan uncomfortable, making him uncertain of how he wants to approach it. And let's be real, the Fates didn't quite smile upon Ethan where he had to discard the Swing Big, because that turn would have looked completely different if it's a double Blood Rush into a Swing Big turn. That would have been enormous, and that would have changed everything. In this case, burning the go-agains on Claws, it's still 14 damage, but Ethan
it's still pretty good.
It's still great. I mean, that's 14 damage that lives on the board. You got that for free. And again, the cards that are going to be banished here, you got to feel for Ethan to a degree here because he had some significant juice and he just couldn't squeeze it out the way he wanted to.
Now the question is, what does he have remaining? A one-cost card like a Graveling Growl or a Slithering Shadowpede, of course, would be the dream here, so you can keep a card for the arsenal. If it is that third Bloodrush Bellow that I feel like I might have gotten a sneak peek at, then that's a perfect card to keep for the arsenal for later in the game. Michael just going to go ahead and say no blocks on this one, getting 7 damage, going down to 31. Still got 2 block left on both the Crown of Providence and the Crater Fist for later in the game. What's left? Looks like it is going to be another Boneyard Marauder. We're going to go ahead and banish 3 from the graveyard here. That's another 1-cost card. This is going to be coming in for 10.
Not a bad turn, all things considered. It wasn't the ideal. It wasn't sort of that miracle turn that you could have had here. But still, being able to cobble together 7 into 7 into 10, that's a hefty turn. And Michael knows that this is a turn that he's the one going to be taking off for the most part, as he's going to commit some cards, take some damage. It's not going to be a massive turn that he's going to be able to swing back. But ultimately here, if he's getting out of a double Blood Rush turn, and he's still at 31, you got to feel good if you're Michael Hamilton.
Absolutely. I mean, let's see exactly how much he is able and wants to commit to the block here. Any more armor chewed up is happy for Ethan's happy to see that, because that means he doesn't have to think about that for the rest of the game. Though that Steel Braid Buckler.
We got there.
The Steel Braid Buckler, also something that these Bravo decks are bringing with the Titan's Fist, now that you don't have to worry about the Anathos, or you're not able to do the Seismic Surge pitch effect into the tectonic plating to make sure that your Anathos can consistently swing for 6. Steel Braid Buckler is another way to get some good value out of your second hand slot.
10 damage.
Can you say it? Can you say it 3 times fast?
Steel Braid Buckler, Steel Braid Buckler, Steel Braid Buckler, Steel Braid Buckler.
No, you got 4.
I just threw one in for a good measure
no,
with the conversion rate.
Win.
Yeah,
you win.
It's 3 American, 4 Canadian. That's what we did. So there's 10 on the stack over here. That Seismic Surge. I think what Michael Hamilton might be holding on to here. He might have like a Guardian 4-cost attack that he's considering. Do I take 10 to pitch a blue and send something fat? It might be something like a Choke Slam that you can send at the discount. It looks like he's going to just eat it up here and take 4 damage. He's given up another Crippling Crush. So what he's doing here, I think, is let's just insulate the life total as best as possible. It's hard to consider a swing back, Sam, when you're staring down a double Blood Rush turn and 24 damage that was basically airmailed to you.
Absolutely. I mean, now looking at the Bravo player here after a double Blood Rush my goodness.
Steel Braid Buckler. Steel Braid Buckler.
I don't know why all day today I've just been like,
Blood Rush Bellow.
Blood Rush Bellow. After a double Blood Rush turn, you've fallen down to 27. You've lost your Civics test, but you also don't have to worry about the Quicken effect anymore. And it looks like because of where we are in this game, it's time for our first Scab Skin Leathers roll of the game. He's going to let Michael do it. What a kind friend. It's going to be
Michael, you fool!
He gave the thumbs up. He said, thanks, man. I appreciate the help. 3 action points for Ethan Van Sant. I don't know if it's respectful or disrespectful to give that option to your opponent and then watch the 6 be rolled.
Yeah, it's like being your own executioner to a degree. It's like, do you want to pull the cord on the guillotine? It's like, yeah, absolutely, let's go. And rolling a fat 6. Now, keep in mind, the last time that we casted a match with Ethan Van Sant, the first roll he had was a 6. So we're going to see how that turns out at the end of the day. But we've got action points to spare, opening with a claw into a claw. It's going to be met with a bunch of just cards here, but finishing this one off.
Slithering Shadowpede going to be the way to finish this chain. Going to be coming in for 6. Let's see now exactly how Michael wants to block. This is a good way to continue the turn, even though no Blood Rush has been played to give these claws go again. Again, you know, you're stoked to see the 3 action points if you're Ethan there. That's not exactly the most powerful thing we've ever seen 3 cards do in Flesh and Blood, but still got a couple points of damage across. Bravo has fallen down all the way to 24. Plenty of armor, though, still for Michael Hamilton to work with. That's a lot of life that we have to take into consideration.
Most definitely. Michael Hamilton, the hand he had wasn't exactly one that was going to sort of rock Ethan's world. A lot of blues. There was a Showtime or Imposing Visage perhaps in there, a Macho Grande. You rather just kind of block this out to a degree. You kind of want to give the Levia a little bit of a situation where Michael Hamilton might be approaching this from the fact of like, okay, you send it, you're going to be emptying your graveyard, you're going to be banishing stuff, and eventually you're going to be susceptible to your own blood debt. He's playing the long game, and I mean, the hand he had wasn't one where trading damage made sense. Sending 8 when receiving like 9 or 10 wasn't going to make that's not good math, but relentless is Ethan as he continues to just push the pedal down.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see the way that Ethan tries to navigate the end of this game. I'll be curious to hear from you what you think Michael Hamilton's game plan is as the Bravo player. For Ethan, I know he has so many different end games he can try to sculpt here. He's able to use Plasma Fet to be able to use cards from the Banished Zone, but to do so, you have to make sure you start. You have to start your Blood Debt train. This Dread Screamer, a good way to do so. Going to add 2 more cards to the Blood Debt and get the go again here. The Shaden Death Hydra Tear Limb from Limb little mini combo. We didn't see it exactly pulled off. I had to read Tear Limb from Limb like numerous times. I got it wrong yesterday on stream. It's going to draw a card, then discard a card, and then buff your attack by its own base power if you discard a 6. So the Shaden Death Hydra can come in for 26 if you put the Tear Limb from Limb buff onto that card. That's another powerful way you can kind of sculpt an endgame. But again, to do that, you have to have a bunch of Blood Debt cards as well in your Banished Zone. So he's got a different type of lines he can go for. And so far, he hasn't started that Blood Debt train as of yet. This Dread Screamer, only a 4-power attack, which leads me to believe that maybe he's beginning to think towards the end of the game, even though Michael Hamilton still has plenty of armor to work with.
Plenty of armor to work with. You just got to do it at the right time. The on-hits for Levia are relatively minimal. There's not many of them there. So oftentimes it's not about covering up dominate effects. It's not about covering up breakpoints for on-hits. Mostly it's just extra life that you're holding there. So we're going à la Bastille. Let's go. Another
my God!
Michael, you fool!
Michael, you fool! I can't believe it's so kind of Michael as the world champ to say, sure, buddy, I got you. We're friends. And another 6 rolled from Michael Hamilton. Maybe that's the key, folks. Ask your opponent to do the rolling for you. You can't have as much good luck as your opponent. You know that's how it works. So this is just going to be another Mandible Claw coming in for 3. Let's go ahead and send the second one. You also know that Ethan here maybe be happy to pitch certain cards to the bottom of the deck. Again, setting himself up for whatever game plan he's trying to end the game with.
Claw into claw here again. You're peeling some cards out of your opponent. It looks like Michael's happy to take this second one. He might have caught a hand here. I see an E-Strike. I see a Command and Conquer in hand as well. No word on what the arsenal is just yet. But so an E-Strike, a Command and Conquer in hand here, held by Michael Hamilton. We're going to see how this one approaches here. But, I mean, even a Command and Conquer feels okay just to send. But I think that at this rate, you might just go ahead and send a Fat 7. But we're going to see the end of the turn is done. I mean, the 3 action points, I mean...
yeah, not too spicy use of the 3 action points, but exciting to see the 6 roll nonetheless.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. All right, so it is going to be an E-Strike here.
E-Strike coming in at this point, most likely just going to buff the power of such a modular and versatile card in the Flesh and Blood canon. Most likely going to be coming in for 7. Ethan going to go ahead and check that graveyard, see what have we worked through, what is still to come. Looking at the Macho Grandes. Michael Hamilton saying, sure, I can do the same thing. Way less exciting, buddy. Way less to go off of.
Oh, okay, 2.
Most of those cards have hit the Banished Zone at this point.
All right, well, at this juncture, I mean, E-Strike is still E-Strike. It's kind of wheeled itself in and out of relevance for Bravo decks. I like having it in. I even like having it putting a Snapdragon Scalers into my list. When I used to play Guardian with E-Strike, I would put Snappies in my list because I wanted to be the aggressor in certain matchups. And I actually had a conversation yesterday with Nathan Crawford, who put Snappies in his Bravo list. And I said, out of curiosity, I said, in my opinion, I feel if you're the aggressor, the value you get off of Snapdragons, I know it only connects with E-Strike, but first option, you just snap it right away. He's like, absolutely. He's like, the value you get off of it is usually better than the block. Now, old school boots for Bravo used to just be Iron Rots, so the value of Snapdragons were way more than E-Strike. But now with Civic Steps, it's a little bit more of a give and take. I still like Snapdragon Scalers in certain matchups. However, in this particular matchup, Civic Steps is absolutely the way to go because you need to weather the storm against a Levia, especially a Levia played by Ethan Van Sant.
And looks like he's just going to go ahead and take a 7 damage here. So all that's been said, all that's been done. Both players now sitting just about half their life total. And here's the reason, folks. It's time for the 3rd Blood Rush Bellow of the game. Ethan has maybe gotten through the clunkers of those opening hands. It's time to discard a random card. Brute Attack getting +2 for the rest of the turn. Claws are turned on with +2 power. Let's get it rolling.
Michael Hamilton has been the architect of his own demise
And
again.
he got a beast within off of the discard, so we're going to lose a life and draw another card, basically meaning this Blood Rush Bellow is going to go ahead and draw 3 on the turn. The question is, are we going to see another Scabskins activation to see how big and strong this turn can really be? But maybe we won't even need to if that is a powerful card I might see in Ethan's hand. I won't spoil it in case it hasn't been spoiled for y'all. But we might not need those Scabskins, depending on how Ethan wants to play this.
Michael Hamilton into 2024 is going to move over to chess because there's no dice involved.
Michael Hamilton sitting here in the quarterfinals against Ethan Sant. Van Sant, he's known for his coverage, folks. He's known for his YouTube channel, but showing that he needs to be known for his prowess at the gaming table as well. Absolutely dominant run throughout this tournament.
Oh, he's about to terminate Michael Hamilton because he's got a Blood Rush Bellow live and in charge here with 5 cards in hand, and I think he's just sort of feathering on the side there, just tucking away an Art of War. This turn can get a lot uglier.
Absolutely. The question is, do you send the Art of War, give an attack, go again, banish another card, continue the draw on the turn, or just give your attacks +1 if you're happy with what you see in the hand, if you don't want to have to use the Scabskin Leathers. However, these Scabskins could potentially make this thing go absolutely buck wild to the moon. All the damage possible if you get those action points. You've seen 2 6s rolled already, Ethan. Are you really going to try to see a third? Let's start off with the Art of War. This is about as good as it gets. We're going to go ahead and probably give the go again to make sure we can continue something. Let's see if we're going to banish as well and draw 2 more cards. The answer, yes.
All right, well, we're banishing a card. We're going to draw 2 more cards. It looks like a go again effect has been selected here as well, which is nice. Keep in mind, this Blood Rush Bellow, Sam, was the one off that he, I think, drew off the turn where he played 2. He could have tripled them up, and he was he let himself have a little bit of restraint and held on to it so he can go off on this turn.
Yes, because once again, Claw for 5, very strong with go again. Representing the second one as well as Sink Below for Michael Hamilton. Going to let him filter a card, maybe look for something a little more defensive. Shore up 4 of that points of damage with just the 1 card. 1 coming across, time for the second Claw coming in for 5. Again, so much armor left for Michael.
Yeah, he can hang tight. He's got the Crown of Providence. He's got the Crater Fist as well, which represents 5 total. If he wants to, he can throw his he can take his shirt off and throw it in the ring if he needs to. He also has the Steel Braid Buckler, and he's going to toss in front of this that is a massive card, especially potentially against Levia. But Levia with boots, go agains and action points are different stories. But that card right there, that Spinal Crush, would have felt so good to be able to dominate and crush against Ethan the turn prior. But it's going to be tossed in front of this just to gain some life.
Now, I wonder if this was a card drawn off the Art of War or if he had it in his hand, because if he had this represented before the Art of War, perhaps he did pick +1 on the turn, knowing he was going to most likely have access to go again anyway. Well, hopefully they'll represent it with the damage dice, so we're able to see if this Dread Screamer has go again or if it has +1 thanks to the Art of War, because 2 cards in hand, that's a card to pitch and a card to play on the Blood Rush, and this is most likely going to go ahead and have the go again because of that beast within that was just banished.
Blood debt piling up here, Sam. Eventually, as the Bravo player here, Michael Hamilton, who has been on the defensive since turn 3 approximately, you're going to think, well, this is going to catch up to you. You're going to have to eventually pay this bill. Like, you can't hide from the tax collector forever, but what Ethan wants to do is just kind of skip the country before they even knock on his door. That's the move here. And if you can punch through before that, before you got to pay your debt, well, that's good enough. But for a Bravo player with so many 3 blocks, with so much defensive capabilities here, Michael Hamilton has weathered all 3 Blood Rush Bellows up to now, this one concluding, and he's still in a fairly healthy position. 14 may seem low, but keep in mind, you've got a ton of armor block left.
Yeah, and so that is going to be, oh wow, a Sink Below from Arsenal to shore up 4 of the 7 from the Slithering Shadowpede. I believe he did pick +1, Ethan did, on the Art of War, because that was a Dread Screamer for 9, which meant +1 from the Art of War, +2 from the Blood Rush Bellow. So luckily for Ethan, able to find go again on that turn without the use of the Art of War. Didn't have to use the Snapdragons, and like we're seeing, he's been pitching the Shade and Death Hydras to the bottom. That is a way to get over the final points of life you need. As you can see, Michael Hamilton has still kept all of that armor around, so even though it looks like he's at 9, he's at significantly more thanks to to the armor. You need to now find a way to get over the top. You've used all 3 of the Blood Rush Bellows. I think we're going to see either Dominate with the Convulsion from the Bellows of Hell or the Shade and Death Hydra plan as a way to get over the top and close the game out.
That tunic has been just
chilling.
Yeah,
just chilling.
Just radiating with a 3 spot on it and saying, dude, imagine if I was a tech plate. Imagine if I was a tech plate. But at the same time, I mean, that 2 extra life that you would get from the tech plate feels good. But in this case, I mean, sometimes every little spot counts in these Bravo lists. And Michael Hamilton has opted to go with the Titan's Fist and the extra block from Steel Braid Buckler instead.
I feel like you're just showing off with Steel Braid Buckler at this point.
What, saying it?
Just nailing it every
yeah,
time.
I'm just flexing my English language. Oh, we're going back to the guillotine. Come on, Michael Hamilton. Come on, triplicates, let's go. Oh,
he still hits, though.
It's still
Michael
pretty good.
Hamilton. You know, I've heard from competitors that they feel like Michael Hamilton has some fortunate luck when he plays. He's an incredibly powerful and skillful opponent and has some nice draws. Finds some good lucky lines. And Ethan's saying, you know what? I'm going to use some of that for myself.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I've heard you're pretty lucky. I'm gonna get in on some of that. And Michael Hamilton now 3 Scabskin Leathers rolls, 3 hits.
Dude, I'm going back to that well every single time, man, for sure.
At some point, if I was Michael Hamilton, I'd say, no way, bro.
Yeah.
I'm not doing this again.
Stop
you
it.
do it.
Yeah, Michael Hamilton can decline. It's like, no, pass. Thank you. Pass priority on you giving me dice.
But once again, showing why everybody says he's just such an unbelievably good sport and such a kind competitor and player of this game. It's now time. Barraging Beatdown. We're going to intimidate a card away. And that means that the buff is going to be thrown onto this attack because there's no way to put 2 non-equipment cards in front of it if there's only 1 left in hand, which means it's time just for the Claw. We're going to get the +2 buff on it thanks to the Barraging Beatdown. That means we have to give armor here.
Full coverage is a boulder drop as well as the Steel Braid Buckler, so that's getting some value here. Again, just sitting pretty at 8. Blood Debt piling up. Michael Hamilton understands that there's going to be a certain juncture where his offense is going to be a staunch defense because that Blood Debt will eventually catch up. But when do we get there? That's the question. And Michael Hamilton has still a lot of plating that he can hide behind. There's a lot of just defensive tools that he can lean on. If he catches a big card and times it right against Ethan finding something nasty, like we've seen 2 crippling crushes already, 1 to defense, 1 to offense. There might be 1 circling about as well as both 2 Starstrucks have been tossed away. But if he can find and dominate a crippling crush, that might change the dynamic here. Now, keep in mind that there's still some defense from some of the equipment that Ethan can rely on. He's got the Scowling Flush Bag. He's got the 1 more block from the Scabbies. But is that good enough? Like the tough part here is that usually you want, as Bravo, you want to rely on your equipment to protect your life total for when you want to turn the corner. Here's another roll. Oh
and
my
Michael
God!
Hamilton just can't miss a 4th Scabskin's Leather roll that hit in a row, and he is just continuing to allow Ethan to get as much value as possible from these leathers. This is going to go ahead and be the Writhing Beast Hulk here. Thanks to the Scabskin Leathers, we're going to be able to do more from this point.
Oh, man. Mr. Charity. That's what we're going to call him. He's just giving away all of these free action points, no problem, and opening up with a 6 attack with the Go Again. No, sorry, is that Dominate?
Dominate. And, I mean, not Go Again, but technically Go Again thanks to the Scabskin Leathers here.
Yeah,
so
might as well be.
Has to give the armor, and now it's time just for a Graveling Growl, another 6. So 12 damage on the turn, 6 if it had the Dominate. Got to give 2 up for the cost. Starstruck going to create a Seismic Surge token thanks to the Unity effect. And Ethan has just continued to put the pressure on, not losing too much life to the Blood Debt, finding ways, even though that graveyard has been lean for turn after turn. He's had just enough in there to keep the train rolling.
That's exactly what I wanted to point out, is the fact that he has been exquisitely calculated about how to manage that graveyard. There's nothing left to chance, more or less. It's just like, no, I'm going to get it every time. I'm going to fill it up to like 4 or 5 cards, 3, 4, 5 cards, and then I'm going to squeeze it. And it's always going to come up Millhouse every single time. And in this case, Titans Fist, there's a little bit of a breath of life here as we're finally seeing a little bit of offense from Michael Hamilton, and it did peel a pair of cards. But in this case, sometimes it's just a matter of, hey, let's throw some more sixes in the graveyard. I need them. Thank you for that, Mr. Charity.
Absolutely. I mean, you have to think that Ethan actually was pretty stoked to get 2 more sixes in that graveyard, especially when you're coming in with something like an Endless Maw. If you hit a 6, I believe it's going to get the +3. So we're going to go ahead and banish 3 cards. What's the 1 card left over? It's going to be the Graveling Growl, which means one of the cards we put in there on the turn, the Beast Within, and I think actually maybe also that Shade and Death Hydra was also blocked with, so both of them getting sent straight to the banish zone here. 9 damage coming in off of 1 card. Pretty strong, Flake.
Yeah, and with the blood debt that kind of starts piling up, it's like getting a notice in the mail. It's like, okay, you overdue notice, past due notice, second notice, final notice, and it's like eventually they're going to start showing up at your door. But Ethan's got the curtains closed and the lights out, so he's still trying to get past this. But there are ways to circumvent that. There's the transition effect that you can have, the transformation to sort of save yourself from blood debt should you want to do that, something new from Dusk Till Dawn. But ultimately, I think what Ethan's saying here is, I just want to stay Levia and I want to beat the crap out of you.
Stay Levia, I like that. That's a nice motto. 2 card block and the Fate Foreseen can go ahead and cover that up perfectly. I will say, I want to look down at that banish zone. I see 11 cards with blood debt, which means if you attack with Shade and Death Hydra, it deals X, where X is 13 minus the cards with blood debt. That means it would be dealing 2. That's fine. Ethan can handle 2 damage here. If you're able to pull off the cards he's been pitching since the beginning of the game, Tear Limb from Limb and Shade and Death Hydra, all of a sudden you're coming in for 26. If you're able to pull those 2 cards off in concert with each other, Michael Hamilton's fallen all the way down to 7. I'd be stoked if we got to see that pulled off to end the quarterfinal game here at the Realm Rumble 20K Invitational. So much on the line. Titans Fist coming in for 4.
The old Titans tickle, just a little bit of uncomfortable kind of thing here. Just saying, all right, it's just 4. It's just 4. Phantom Hammer, the John Cena of hammers. You can't see me. And are you going to block? If anyone's going to block, it might be Ethan, again, because you want to sort of beef up that graveyard. But at the same time, depending on what you throw in there, you want to throw the 6s in there. If you're throwing sort of whiffs, then that's not the right move here. But Ethan does have some life total to play with. If he finds a 4-card hand plus the arsenal that can really rip it, then he's going to go ahead and just take this off the chin and send it back to the house. Now, what's important I want to note here as well is that Scowling Flush Bag. It's very rare that that's going to get a lot of value against a Bravo. But if it does, it's going to be in a situation where Michael Hamilton is either doing something like a zealous play, a go-again play, but it might actually rescue Ethan from a potential pummel play. If you can toss the Scowling Flush Bag and create an intimidate effect when your opponent is holding a pummel and the resources to play it all in hand, you basically goon them out of that play. And that is possibly where Ethan is going to have to save that. He's being very patient with that Scowling Flush Bag. The opportunities are going to be scarce, but when they do show up, it's going to be very impactful.
With the Tunic, pummel, such a key part of some of these Bravo decks' avenues to victory. I believe on stream yesterday we saw Nathan Crawford double pummel his way to victory on stream against a Riptide. Looks like we're just going to give the barraging beatdown here to the Titans Fist.
All right, so a little bit of respect here to the old Phantom Hammer. Manages to actually catch it midway, taking a little bit more damage, no problem. All right, big time.
Woo!
Talk
about big time. It's time to resolve a doomsday, folks. This is going to go ahead and make sure that we can attack with Plasma Fet. Is it the Soul Harvester? It's time.
Oh, Mr. Charity hits again.
God, this is unbelievable. Michael Hamilton showing why he has the absolute touch of the gods here. He is just making it impossible for Ethan to miss.
Incredible. Michael Hamilton right now saying, why did I not register Levia? I am on fire with these dice. I mean, these 6s be damned. It's just 6s.
This is one of the craziest things I've ever seen. I've never seen Scabskins hit this many times, and it's just like poetic that Ethan's opponent has done it for him every single time. We've got a Savage Feast here, 2 action points. That means we're going to be able to come in for 6 again with the Plasma Fett, depending on what the card is left in hand. I mean, because there is a bunch of armor left for Michael Hamilton, he might have a way around this, but this is going to be a lot of damage.
Oh, this is not going to be fun here. This might be a situation where Ethan's saying, I wish I kept that barraging beatdown. I wish I kept all my cards. I mean, if I'm rolling 6s, I want to go have some fun here. Ultimately, though, again, playing a Doomsday is a very rare occurrence. You rarely see it happen. It's very cool to see it on stream. It's a massive threat, and it can be attacked. It can be dealt with. But without something like Anathos to just go ahead and smash it out of the sky, it's not as easy. Titan's Fist versus Anathos does have a lot of implications because the reach that you have, I just don't think that Michael Hamilton may not have suspected allies to be on the field in a Levia deck. They do exist, but this isn't something like, it's not angels, it's not dragons, it's not something that you necessarily have to work with. In this case, Michael Hamilton has very much leaned towards an equipment set that is going to insulate the life total, that's going to protect him. He wants to play the long game. He wants Levia to basically just devour herself from the inside out with that blood debt, but he was possibly not expecting this.
I can't say he was expecting this. I mean, the Scabskins leather rolls have been just unreal to watch, and now Michael Hamilton is in a position where he's facing down potentially lethal damage on this turn being threatened, and like you just talked about, an ally that if is not respected and not dealt with is just gonna sit there and threaten additional 6 spotted damage throughout the course of these next couple of turns.
Well, it's a twofold approach here because not only does the ally threaten the life total of Michael Hamilton, but if Michael Hamilton wants to deal with it, which he absolutely has to, it's a 2-card endeavor to deal with it. You're going to have to find an attack that does 6 and then send it at the ally. So you're going to be taking it off the chin, and it's a situation where if you keep blocking, you're just never going to win. It's a losing endeavor to go down that avenue. So what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to find a turn that makes sense for you to take some licks and then say, all right, well, I'm going to, pitch, use my tunic, pitch a blue, and send like a debilitate to kill it or something like that, because you cannot let something like that just run the table. It sits there, it's ominous, and it's haunting the entire time. Michael Hamilton knows what he's got to do here, and he's going to be tossing this Crown of Providence in front of it because I think he wants cards in hand for that option to be able to kill the to be able to kill that haunting looming demon that has been staring him in the face.
Wow, just like this, 4 damage coming across from the Savage Feast, which means it's time for Blasmo Fett herself to join the fray. 6 points of damage coming across from the demon herself. That means 2 cards have to be sent into it. We've got 2 resources left. What do we have to finish? It's the swing big. 8 points of damage. This is huge for Ethan, all off the back of a Michael Hamilton rolled Scabskin 6.
Yeah, Michael Hamilton was the author of his own demise here. He might as well give his own eulogy, too, at this point. But we're at a situation here where if it was anything but the swing big, he might be able to sort of throw some equipment in front of it, take it off the chin, and then toss that Command and Conquer at the Plasma Fett to just deal with it. But that's not the case anymore because there's so many action points. Ethan has so many action points this game, they're like falling out of his pockets. That's how much people are tripping over them going to their tables. But there's swing big is absolutely filthy here. A 2-cost 8 attack. And it's like, oh, but yeah, but if you block it, you get a Quicken token. Who freaking cares when you're rolling 6s all day?
Yeah, I mean, and look at this. We've seen one in the pitch zone there, but Michael Hamilton can't quite afford to take even 1 more point of damage, or else there might be some kind of a slightly deterministic approach on the board in that reckless swing, but it looks like the swing big is going to get blocked out by the equipment and the 2 of the last cards in the hand here.
Chicken token, too. This is an upgrade.
Wow, and look at this. It looks as though Blood Debt just took Ethan all the way down to 8. We were so excited by the Scabskins roll and the Plasma Fett here, but I'm not sure Blood Debt was turned off.
Hey, when you're pushing up that much damage, you might as well. You have some leeway to play with. That's the beauty of it. But I think all the Art of Wars might be gone. A lot of the guaranteed banish effects are gone. So 11, I mean, Michael Hamilton's game plan here has always been let Levia beat herself. Like, that's just kind of where we're at. The problem is that these threats keep piling up to a nasty degree.
And we have to think about, if Ethan had elected, I think, I'm pretty sure he had the option to become Blasmafet there. Blood debt damage was what took him, I think, past 13, right? So, but the thing is, if he becomes Blasmafet, all of a sudden he's banishing 11 cards at the end of every turn, and he's done. That's over.
Well,
he doesn't have enough cards left in deck to do that.
Correct. And in that case, Michael Hamilton is sitting way prettier in that case. The problem now is that Ethan came to a juncture where he's like, I can just keep throttling up and keep pushing the tempo, which when you have the ally on the board and Michael Hamilton is just rolling pure fire for you, you might as well just go for it. But like you said, if you're just going to go ahead and flip and then turn Blood Debt into discard, that can be dangerous because you are just going to maybe have 2 more turns to really get it done. And it's not like Bravo is just hey, open the door and let the flies come in. He's just going to be staunchly blocking all of this. But a lot of that block is done. All that's left to lean on is just a thin green tunic that you can kind of just throw in the face and hope that gets you past it, because Titan's Fist is not going to get you across the line here, Sam. What's going to get you across the line is just letting that Blood Debt just, if Ethan skips a beat, that's what Michael Hamilton needs.
And that's the thing is, if you never attack into Ethan, then you never have to worry about the Reckless Swing. Another tear limb from limb, going to go ahead and hit the pitch zone here. That is a way to finish the game, potentially. This Dread Screamer needs to hit to turn off the Blood Debt. There's 11 there. This could be a huge banish for the game. Michael Hamilton not been liking his dice rolls earlier. Let's see if he likes them here.
All right,
can't really tell the die roll from our angle.
No clue. Is that a 7?
Maybe
it's
a 7.
Is it a 2? Is it a
Probably
Roman
a
numeral
7.
5? Like, we don't know idea.
Yeah. I always just grab 3 random cards, man. I'm just like, here,
I know.
these 3.
I'm like, Mike, do you really want to trust the dice, buddy?
Yeah. All right, there's the 1. Let's roll another time. And 1 and a 3. Those 3. Have we hit a 6?
There is some pollution in there.
Yeah.
Looks like he's got it.
Endless Moss, Swing Big, and Savage Feast. How about 18 points of attack? That's 3 more. That means the Blood Debt going to be off for the turn. That means this is 6 with Go Again. Immediately put 2 in front of it. What does Ethan have from here? If he can also just attack for 6 with the Blasmafet now at this point. You have the Go Again. You can turn now into Levia Redeemed with the action, but then you've left 2 cards for Michael Hamilton to pressure you with. This is going to be a pretty interesting decision from Ethan. It looks like it's just going to be the attack with the Blasmafet, the Soul Harvester. 6 more damage has to be respective. Both of those cards have to go into it. No more action points on the turn. Final card into Arsenal.
Cranial Crush, Disable, Imposing Visage, Command and Conquer. I mean, just everything at that juncture is just what it is. Ooh!
Monger's Diplomacy here from Michael Hamilton. A play that is going to turn off any non-attack actions. He's making sure, I believe you can still attack with allies, because that's why dragons, or Dishonored Sandakai lets you attack with the dragons. So
it's funny because it's just like they're having the same discussion that the card art is having. It's like they're just pointing at the thing. Is this legal? Is this legal? What are we deciding here? Yeah, I mean, this game, Flesh and Blood, has so many unique interactions where cards rarely meet other cards, and this is why Josh Scott gets paid the big bucks, because he's the one who figures this nonsense out. So the judge is coming in and he's going to basically make a ruling here. Is this considered war or is this considered peace? And if that is considered peace, I don't want to live on this planet anymore.
That doesn't sound peaceful for me either. A little correction. Levia Redeemed, you need 13 points of blood. He is only up to 12, so can't activate that on his turn. Looks like they're going to go ahead and
what a banger of a match. I mean,
absolutely.
Like, let's recap this a little bit from the get-go. It opened with a Starstruck into a lot of disruptive effects, into something like a Warmongers, into a Crippling Crush. It was just... It looked like Ethan was having a hard time finding not just the hand, but finding the opportunity, finding the free pass to actually play those cards cleanly. Then it was all Ethan. And then Michael Hamilton understood. He's like, okay, I had my time in the sun. I have to buckle down and bring the drawbridge up because they're coming in hot and heavy. And now, well, there's more dice rolls from Michael Hamilton.
Yeah, Ethan set that up in the arsenal last turn, made sure he had a banish outlet on the turn so that in case he had to try to not die to his own blood debt, this was the way to do so. Going to banish 3, got to imagine there's plenty of 6s to go around. Going to hit the Graveling Growl. It was just the 1, though. The yellow Graveling Growl coming in to save Ethan Van Sant's tournament here. This is going to be coming in 4-9. Or
This
no, this
is-
is the 6 with Dominate.
Yeah, so this was actually the best possible outcome here because
Wait,
you
yeah.
get the 1-6 and weed out the garbage, and now you need stuff in the graveyard. So your next 3 random from graveyard is looking pretty guaranteed. So you're still alive for a little bit here, but this matchup has been back and forth, and we can see the game plan here. This option to keep the steel braid buckler. I mean, keep it this way: if there's no steel braid buckler, then Michael Hamilton's health is 0 because the steel braid buckler is representing 3. You've got it in my head now, by the way.
Well, also, has the tunic been activated once?
Negative.
Not a single time, right? It
Not
sat on 3 this entire time.
once.
That is 2 more points of life that you could have been working with the tectonics plating in the game. But did he even bring it to the tournament?
He did not even bring it to the
Didn't
tournament.
even register it in the list.
No, and that's kind of the common knowledge now, is that like at certain points, it's just the value you're getting from Tunic is much more than you are from creating seismic surges in the extra block. Now, obviously, you would love to have it here, but we might see a situation where that Tunic has just been keeping, 3 points in her pocket the entire time and then just chucked in the trash in front of whatever the first necessary block that comes her way. So still, beyond this, Michael Hamilton collecting they got a Quicken token, he's got a Tunic ready to go, and he's got a Titan's Fist that's swung twice.
Now, here is the thing. You used to be able to maybe potentially just put Levia in the position where if they don't just keep attacking you and they don't just keep trying to banish cards, they're going to just die to their own blood debt. But now that Ethan has hit 13 blood debt, Ethan can, if any of this damage from the Dominate gets through, which it looking like it probably will, that's going to put Michael to 2, which means that if Ethan on his turn ever wants to become Levia redeemed and just turn off blood debt, yes, he's going to be at 8 life, but he's already at 8 life, and then Michael has to attack into him in order to try to win the game. And if he goes down to 2 and he is forced into attacking, Reckless Swing ends the game. And that is a play that you might not have been able to have before Levia Redeemed was an option for these Levia decks. Normally, you're so used to hearing about Plasma Effect Consumed as the way to end the game, but looking at these long end states where your opponent could potentially fatigue you, instead, there's a different option for these decks now.
Nasty, nasty business here as we navigate the 3rd quarterfinal match here. 4th?
3rd.
3rd.
You guys,
3rd.
One more, Mara Ferris versus Matt W. The 1 versus 8 matchup coming up after this, saving not necessarily the best for last, but an exciting one as Mara Ferris battled back from 32nd yesterday to go ahead and claim her spot in the top 8. I wanted to see what happened. I believe the finals of the 10K was happening right over there. It was Michael Fang versus Levi Roush on Bravo versus Alia. That was happening just a couple feet away. I can't tell who won. Both players are smiling because they're nice dudes. So it's unfortunately hard to tell.
I was actually discussing the other day about what it means to get Michael Fanged. When you get Michael Fanged, you're basically playing against Michael Fang, and even though you are never in control of the match, he will make you feel like you're part of the game. He'll be like, ooh, yeah, ooh, that's a good card. Ooh, man, I don't know how I'm going to deal with this. And then he beats the crap out of you anyways.
Yeah, absolutely. So I believe that Sync Below is going to go ahead and cover 4 of that damage.
Yeah, well, that's all you can do, right? I mean, was it a dominated effect? So,
yeah,
that keeps you in the game, which is a nice thing to have.
So how much pressure can be sent with these 2 cards? It's just going to be 4 at Levia here.
The old hammer.
Yeah, so I believe Michael should be down to 1, if I'm not mistaken.
Michael should be down to 1 because he took 6 and threw a Sync Below in front of it. So I believe he's down to 1 at this point, unless there was something I missed here. Ultimately, though, this is a hammer with Go Again.
With Go Again. So I wonder if the Scowling Flashback goes in front of this. Looks like no. We're just going to put 2 cards. You make sure life totals are correct.
Yeah, there we go. Scowling Flashback actually could be a decent play here because you might stop. There
Yeah.
it is. Good call. Yes.
Just to make sure that nothing nasty happens with the Tunic, potentially could have done something here, but we're just going to put 2 more 6s into the graveyard along with the Scowling Flashback.
He's like, yeah, don't
Just
roll
banish
dice.
that one. Yeah, exactly. I'm not rolling anything if I don't have to. He hasn't really rolled all game. Why start now?
So yeah, so that's a very interesting point there. Again, the Scowling Flashback with the Quicken token, that's where you want to use it. You want to stop any potential clapback here. Endless Maw.
Endless Maw now going to go ahead. This is impossible to miss because we put those 2 6s in as well. I mean, it always impossible. It's all 6s in that graveyard. We're not going to miss on this. This is just going to go ahead and get +3 if a 6 is banished. We're just continuing to put the pressure on and making sure the blood debt remains off for the turn.
So this is more or less a guarantee, but the other thing to keep in mind here is that we are now running out of cards in the graveyard to satisfy blood debt. and Ethan is very well aware. I mean, is 13 blood debt? It could be 13 million blood debt. It's still the end of the game, and we're at this critical juncture here where dominate effects, big attacks, it's nasty, dude. And this is not dominated.
Not dominated, but 9 damage. All of it has to be covered up. We're going to go ahead and check. It looks like there are 3 6s remaining. Scowling Fleshbag also headed to the Banish Zone as well. But here's 9. You have to respect. None of it can get through. That means 3 cards are going to go in front of this.
Oh, for sure. And that's the beauty of Bravo. Very few two-block cards are in there. Although, Rounds the Ancients is probably wheeled out of this matchup because you're probably never going to play it, and it's a 2-block. You don't like it. I'm trying to think of what other 2-blocks exist in this list. The Pummels are probably not going to be in there. I mean, when you're cutting your deck down to face off against something with the sheer power and strength of Leviathan, you want every card to really squeeze out the most amount of protection that you possibly can. And there it is, a choke slam, a crippling crush, and some mystery meat gets thrown in front of there just to keep yourself alive. Because right now, every card that Ethan has on hit win the game.
I mean, look at that.
Oh.
We can see an Art of War feathering in the hand there. The cards just pass back. We're going to go ahead and banish once again. Draw 2 to make sure blood debt's now just off for the turn. We've got go again. We've got 2 floating. We've got our blood debt turned off. Is this the turn that Ethan Van Sant is going to punch his ticket into the semifinals and take out Michael Hamilton himself?
It's a good start here again with the go again effect and the banish. Now you're safe from your own demise, from being the architect of your own destruction here if you're Levia, because you did banish that 6. But more importantly, this is a 2-pronged attack here, and there's a barraging beatdown in hand.
Barraging beatdown in hand. I wonder what that arsenal is for Michael Hamilton. Did he set a defense reaction? Was he able to set himself up to be able to survive some of these turns? You have to wonder where Ethan is going to be able to find the dominate or be able to go over the top of Michael Hamilton's defenses here. It's going to be the barraging beatdown.
Oh boy, and it's random too. This could be dangerous. Beyond this, Sam, I mean, let's be real. That tunic has been a $200 iron wrought plate.
Oh, so look at that. It looks like Ethan, finally, Michael said, you got to roll some dice, man. You can't just pick. And so Ethan did roll a couple dice, did pick the card that he wanted to intimidate anyway. We'll have to see what it was. And now it's time for the Scabskins roll. One final roll.
Let's
Michael
go.
Hamilton, can you do it? The answer is there's the one. Finally, the gamblers are going to have to going to have to come in and try to shore this up. What is going to be the final solution? They're going to move it out so that we can see. Look, we're going to re-roll. We're going to re-roll.
I think
We're
that
going to
was
re-roll.
6, dude.
It did end up as a 6, and it's going to be the 4-2 action points here with the Plasma Fet on the board. Is that going to spell the end of the game? That's a Boneyard Marauder. It's going to be coming in 4-6. We have the action point remaining for the Plasma Fet. This might do it, Flake.
Man, Michael Hamilton has literally been the author of his own obituary here. He's been rolling the 6s, the high numbers for Ethan to go ahead and just continue these massive turns.
We just have to give such props to Mr. Hamilton, man. Rolling those dice, just saying, no problem, man. I'm down to play along, and it really did not end up well for him, but he can see it. He can see it on the board. There's the damage there from the Boneyard Marauder. The Plasma Fet is able to come in 4-6 afterwards. There's just simply not enough in hand, even with, I believe that was a defense reaction in the arsenal. That's the game. Ethan Van Sant moves on to the semifinals.
Incredible game by Ethan Van Sant there, and gets the big assist by Michael Charity there just by rolling dice all day long. Go to the craps tables, Michael, because you are just a hot roller right now. Just not for yourself, but man, oh man, you got to think here in this case, Sam, that the action plan that Michael took was the correct approach. It's just that it's so hard to beat a top tier elite Levia player like Ethan Van Sant, who comes in with a plan, with reps, and knows what the hell he's doing. You could beat an average Levia player, you could beat a good Levia player, you can even beat a really good Levia player with the way that Michael Hamilton did this. But Ethan Van Sant is on another level, and Michael Hamilton just had to sit back and really roll his own death in that case.
Yeah, congratulations to Michael on such an incredible tournament run. An amazing job by Ethan navigating the clunky start to that game. Feels like ages ago, but watching Ethan navigate what was very awkward, trying to find the right lines through cards that just didn't seem to want to cooperate, and came out with the W here. I feel like I need a breath. That was unbelievable.
It was a great game, and you're spot on. It seemed like a early game. Michael Hamilton had to take his opportunities to go ahead, and he found some really good cards. He found the Starstruck, he found the Warmongers, he found the Crippling Crush. He made it so that Ethan had to wait. He had to be patient, but Ethan did so. He said, no problem, to the point where he's like, I really like my hand, so I'm just going to take a Starstruck damage and pass. I mean, that is a very odd approach, but it paid off because those cards eventually coalesced for some serious magic that turned into a lot of damage. Even when it wasn't perfect, it was still 24 damage.
Phew. All right. Top 8 is well underway, folks. We only have one more quarterfinal round to go. I want to remind everyone of a couple things. We're doing a giveaway right after the quarterfinals. We've already given away a Marvel. We've given away a Fabled. So that means for here, this is top 8, we got to give away something even cooler. That's going to be coming up right after the quarterfinals, so make sure you stick around for that. We're going to give away something very, very cool. Beautiful card. We'll make sure it's sick. And if you head down to the realmgamingnetwork.com, there is a discount code for you that's very special and relates to Heavy Hitters, the new set coming out in February. If you go ahead and pre-order, purchase 4 boxes of Heavy Hitters and enter the code when you go to checkout, capital RD3. That's capital RD3 for Rumble Day 3. You get $100 off your order. Are you kidding me?
What?
Are you kidding me? That's incredible.
What?
Don't you want that? You want a case of Heavy Hitters. Why don't you just get $100 off your order when you enter the code capital RD3 at checkout with a pre-order of 4 boxes of Heavy Hitters. That's happening today only for you guys here in the stream, so make sure you go and check that out. And we are getting ready to check out Mara Ferris, the incredible Empress of Volcor, who was 32nd yesterday, just snuck in and beat face on her way to the 8th seed finish versus our number 1 seed, world's top 4 competitor, Matthew W., who only lost 2 games over the whole weekend. It's going to be unbelievable, so don't go anywhere. We're going to see you very shortly for that final quarterfinal game right after this short break.